Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. Joining me, we have got Speed and Pwnecakes, and then Dirk from the Fateless side. And we're going to be talking about some of the first time user experience type stuff, when the game is new, when someone downloads the game and starts playing, what are the most important things to get right, what are things that we want to see or don't want to see, and all that good stuff. But Speed, I think it's your first time here on the channel. So why don't you introduce yourself and kind of let everybody know a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so IAmSpeed. I really appreciate you getting me on the podcast. This is awesome. I've been a content creator for a few years, Summoner's War, Element Vision, and now Godforge, and played a ton of other games, but didn't really make any videos for them. So I've been gaming for 20 some years. XCOM UFO Defense was one of my first games that I ever played. A lot of fun. But just glad to be on here. And I really like how Fateless is engaging with the content creator community. It's the first time I've seen that in any game I've played.
Awesome. Good to
Yeah,
meet you.
that's like
Thanks for joining.
the fun of having Simon and like half the team being content creators for these games is like it's a very content creator like centric community in the sense that like we know that there's like a thirst for anything to talk about in the game. So Simon's really good at like, well, I want to make a video about this. Probably everyone does, and then kind of giving out the information or his leaks here and there, and then
Yeah.
Awesome. And then Pwnecakes, good to see you. How you been?
I've been pretty good, man. Been pretty good. Been busy, really, really busy, trying to keep myself, occupied during this lull time that is, pre-EA launch. But yeah, all in all, good. I think the hive mind's now grown to I think over 100 members, and so yeah, it's just trying to keep everybody in line on Discord when Simon drops these spicy videos that kind of like completely turn over the community. So,
Do
but
you guys do you guys have a goal in mind about like your Pantheon alliance and what size you want to get to? Are you gonna start doing like tryouts? Like oh
Yeah, I think so. I think for us personally, I think we're looking for keeping it small. I think we're going with like a total of assuming I think it's a max of 40, right? So it's like I think we're going for shooting for four pantheons, but enough in the beginning. We have to so wait. We have more information, right? That it's supposed to come out. So, but I think we're aiming for at least 4 to 5 pantheons. We don't want to go huge like some of the other guys, but yeah,
very
quality over
nice.
quantity, I guess. So.
Yeah. And Dirk, how you been? What have you been working on the last I believe it's probably been a couple months or so since you were here on the channel. So what have you been up to?
yeah, I mean, doing great. Just trying to get all the heroes looking good. There's been like we keep unlocking new tech for our for the visuals and whatnot, and for the heroes doing stuff, and basically just updating all the characters. Every time we think like, oh, these are looking pretty good, we'll unlock some new tech, and then it's like, well, back to the start on each one of these, and then kind of polish them up a bit more. And I think it's coming along looking good now. I think POV camera is going to be a lot more favorable than it was in the alpha. It's gonna everything is looking quite. It's got that cinematic flair we're hoping for, even despite not having all the camera work we're looking to get in. But it's coming along. But yeah, I'm excited for everyone to start seeing this soon because it's been. I'm just like my brain is like warped from just staring at timelines so much that I feel like I'm sort of existing within a timeline now. It's like I don't know, maybe it's like I'm evolving into like a 4D or like 5D space now, where it's like a control space and time, but that it ends as soon as I leave my computer chair. So.
Yeah, so anybody that's confused, Dirk doing the timelines, it kind of looks like you're editing a video, on your computer. And so Dirk has to go through all these different tracks of the heroes and all their different animations and get them to blend correctly and get them to have the right timings and all that good stuff. So that's what Dirk's
Yeah, it was like
kind of
the main
owning.
goal though was like we wanted to create a tool to put the characters in for easier implementation, but the tool is yeah, it's expanded quite a bit. Like I said, we keep adding all this new tech into it, and it allows you to do so much, which I guess we could segue into FTUE because we brought on Jerry to kind of help with some of the cameras, and he was able to work out a lot of the tech we needed for kind of advanced camera work. And in him learning to use the tool, he started playing around with it and putting together some really cool scenes. So you'll see like in the FTUE now, you get a really cool like kind of in-game cut scene that he set up, just like in his efforts of just like said learning the tool, he's putting together these like incredible scenes where we're like, whoa, we have cut scenes now, like this. So I'm very excited too, because there's a lot of stuff I just haven't seen. And then like, recently started a new account just to play through the first time user experience. And I seen all for myself. I'm like, wow, this has really come along now. This is looking pretty darn good. And I know we do plan to getting a lot more of that stuff in there with the story. Because we wanted the story to be more than just words that kind of appear on the screen in between campaign chapters. So yeah, he said this timeline tool allows us to do quite a bit now as far as like intros for characters and just setting up cool scenes. So yeah, you guys will see it soon.
Cool. Yeah, heck yeah. Well, Speed, I'll pass it to you to kick off our FTUE discussion as our honorary guest here, first time on the channel. Is there a certain kind of general input of, I know you said you've covered these games for a while. Is there something to make sure that we get right that really kind of, is there anything that kind of piques your interest in that first 10 or 15 minutes where you're like, okay, this game is worth my time. I can tell it's going to kind of be a good one. Or is there anything that kind of turns you off of it, or like, I know some people say like if the tutorial is like 15 minutes, it just gets annoying and they just like close it or whatever. So, do you have any input like that, kind of in general?
Yeah, sure. I like to have a mix of tutorials and story mixed in with me being able to actually play the game. If I have to sit and watch a tutorial for 15 minutes where I can't click and I can't do anything in the game, that would turn me off right away. But just, I want to be able to get in, and I really appreciate story stuff and tutorials. It would be nice to be able to access them again in case I just want to get this first segment of campaign done. And then maybe I could go back later and maybe look at things a bit longer.
Yeah, for sure. That is a feature that we do want is, the ability to like hold to skip and then be able to check it out in your own time. You'll come back and kind of rewatch it later if you want to kind of see some of the stuff that was going on. But how about you, Pone Cakes? Is there anything kind of in general that we need to make sure we get right in your opinion?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I am definitely a big fan. I'm a chronic skipper. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, I'm trying to get to the sanctum or the screen and see what the story looks like in most of these games right off the bat. But yeah, I think the pacing of like that first like 15 minutes, because it's not always a turnoff for a lot of players, but a lot of people are heavy into lore and all that stuff. Like, shout out to old Sage, but they'll deep dive into everything for the first 15 minutes. But it's like, yeah, just getting that pacing to where it's like it's not too long, but it's just that right little probably like 10-ish or so is normally pretty. I know Dragonair did really good, and one thing I liked about it is kind of grabbing that power fantasy in the very beginning to where it's like, hey, you have this really cool like legendaries beating up on this boss, and then it's like then it brings you back to, it's like, here's your base level characters, here's your summon, and it's like that's what you get to look forward to, and it's just like all that kind of combined. And I know it's hard to do. I mean, I say all that, but it's hard to do within that time constraint. But yeah, making sure that those first 15 minutes don't feel like it's like, well, I'm just sitting here. All right, I have to click the one button to do this skill. Now I have to wait, and then I got to click this button, and I got to go through all the different steps. It's just when it becomes like super too long or too tedious, it's like kind of a turn off. So,
Well, we might have to debate here, because I'm surprised you say Dragonair. I thought Dragonair's FTUE was absolutely horrible. I thought like I was clicking through dialogue for like
well, I mean,
for like 30 minutes. I was like, can I just play? Like,
true. This is just more of a, like how it kind of engrossed that power fantasy where it's like you have all those like really broken legendaries in the beginning fighting the dragon, and then all of a sudden it reverted back. But yeah, no, I agree. Like when Dragonair first came out, like I think it was an hour just to get to like the whatever. So yeah, like
whatever it was
yeah, it was
long.
Yeah, it was too long, way too long. And I get what they were doing. So I mean, but yeah, no, I liked it from just as far as like the immersion of it, as like you're really getting into the story and everything else. It's like on that, I think they did really good. But yeah, and I agree. Like an hour is probably way too. It
Yeah,
was a bit much.
overall it was a pretty cool game. I loved
Yeah.
their art and I liked some of the concepts they were trying. But that always sticks out to me. I remember the the Fatui. But in ours, it's probably gonna, what do you think, Dirk? It's probably gonna be somewhere around like 4 or 5 minutes, right? It's pretty quick that you can kind of
Yeah,
take over in the Sanctum.
it's similar to what you saw in the alpha.
Yeah.
Because we tried going super minimal with it. The idea was like, how long do we want to hold your hand and have this on rails until you, the player, are free to just play. And then from there, as you unlock new things, you'd get little mini like, hey, you just got this. You want to see how it works kind of tutorials. We have since expanded the initial FTUE a little bit. It's not too much more, but it does take you into like the first campaign stage and then makes you click all the glowing spots on the UI to equip a piece of gear. But it didn't add too much more to the Fatui. So yeah, I think it's 5 minutes, if maybe 10 if you're reading everything, like not skipping anything or really soaking it in. But yeah, it's not too much. I think it's only like a stage you have to go through. So yeah, it holds your hand a little bit more, but not too much more. Because like again, that was the biggest complaint is like there's a certain point where you're just like tapping the glowing section of the screen where you're just like, I just don't care. I'll figure this out when I actually have to do it. I don't know what I'm doing now because I'm just literally just hitting it as it lights up. I'm basically playing whack-a-mole on like screen freezes and yeah, so it has a tiny bit of that, but it's very quick now.
Yeah, because you get numb to it at a certain point, and you've just got your 4 fingers on your phone, and you're just spamming. You're like, let me take over. You get sick of reading things at a certain point. So, yeah, it's finding that sweet spot where you explain enough to someone who's brand new, and kind of help them get going, but you also don't annoy your veteran players.
Does
So,
it pass the girlfriend test, Brad? That was like
Yeah.
Brad's like design like benchmark is like if it passes the girlfriend test, if she's completely confused by it or she's able to get through it, and I'm not saying that girlfriends are idiots, but is it someone who isn't so interested in these games, doesn't normally play these games, coming as an outsider coming in?
yeah, and
Like,
I stole that from Blizzard because in the early days, Diablo 1, that they would have a certain time in development where they would stop and they would all have their mothers play. And then they would watch, like, what do they not know how to do? What do they get confused on? Do they not know you got to click on the stairs or go up to the cathedral? Like, where do they get stuck? And then that would kind of help lead them into just basically taking someone who's never played before and helping kind of give them guidance. Then another thing I'd want to ask is there a game that kind of got this right? I know a lot you guys have played a lot of games in the genre. Is there like a favorite one that you're like, hey, try out this game for the first 10 minutes? It really felt like they caught the sweet spot in terms of kind of explaining it. We'll start with you, Speed. Was there one that sticks out to you?
Yeah, so I'll go with Summoner's War is I played that game for 6 years. Still log in occasionally, but I think Summoner's War does a lot of things right in terms of they have a lot of quests and a lot of tasks and a lot of missions for you to guide you on what you should be doing as a new player. And I think they do that really well. The one giant fault they have is that you can't skip the little story segments. So you've got to just sit there and spam click the button to try to get through the dialogue. And users have been asking to get rid of that for years. And Com2uS has been like, no, we're not going to change that. And so that was it doesn't turn you away from the game, but you're like, oh my God, when is this going to end?
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Cakes? Was there one that stands out?
I mean, I'd have to say the alpha was a really great experience. I mean, I'm so used to, like I said, most of the other gotchas, Seven Kingdoms, some of the new ones, Watcher, all the rest of them was like it's a little elongated, but I think playing Alpha 2 for the first time and like diving in, having that initial little Fatui it just felt right. Like it felt like you guys were hitting the nail on the head. And it's like sucked that I only got to just jump right into the cavern. I was like, oh man, it felt like you'd be able to jump right into like the the home screen, and the pacing was great. And so, yeah, and it's like it kind of like grasped me. It's like, all right, I want to see more of the game, and it's like I get it was limited, but I think so far, like I played a lot of games. I think like it's one thing that hooked me a lot is I think just Godforge has done a lot of great things, even in the alpha. That yeah, it's a lot of others haven't hit that mark yet. I don't think, or they didn't hit that mark with their launch. So
Nice, cool. Go ahead.
It is definitely still a work in progress on that. Right now you do get that feeling of being able to kind of just jump into the sanctum right away. It does force you into campaign. I think for like a stage, it's not as bad as Watcher where you have to do like the entire first chapter. You're like on the 7th stage. You're like, they're still holding my hand. Like I feel like I've got this game pretty figured out by now. So yeah, it's like one. Maybe they'll force you into the second, but then after that, you're totally free. But it's you do still get to go in the sanctum and look around, but everything's kind of locked, like account levels now. And level 10 is where things start to open up a bit more. So we've kind of had everyone, we've been kind of forcing everyone, like, all right, level up to level 10. Let us know. Because it is finding that sweet spot of like, how long does it take to get to level 10? Do you have other things you can be doing if you don't want to? Like, it was a little rough for a bit. You go into campaign and then you'd kind of get stuck before you would hit level 10 and unlock other things. And you're like, well, crap, I'm stuck on stage 20, but I can't do anything else other than stage 20 or I guess stage 19 to try to beat stage 20. And it was getting tough. So there's a big a quest to try to get that sweet spot of like, you don't want to, everything just be instantly being dumped on you.
Yeah.
You should have to figure out a little bit of your own. We don't want to handhold you up to, count level 10. But it's like, does it feel like, are you going to quit the game out of like difficulty before then? Because it was the initial feeling of it was definitely like, I could see people being like, what? This is so hard. How am I supposed to beat this? As you're getting stuck on Heimdall.
yeah.
Well, speaking of when you kind of first jump into the game, and we have Dirk here to talk about this, you're kind of being introduced to the game and the camera system that we have, and we have 3 cameras, right, Dirk, to choose from? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys have a favorite camera that you were using during alpha? And then maybe we could figure out with Dirk kind of how to present that better from a first time experience and how to get people trying other cameras or things that we could do. And we'll start with you this time, Pone Cakes.
Yeah, I was definitely my preference was the top setting, right? And then tried POV for a little bit, and I was like, no, we go to the top where I can kind of look like it was more traditional, where it's like, here's my guys, there's the wave or the boss or whatever, and yeah, no, definitely top when I was, cause it allowed me, everything was there. You got to, yeah, it showed me everything I needed to see, and so I didn't need all the extra cinematics. It was just kind of like, let's get down to business type thing. So.
Yeah, and we did kind of expect that from kind of our core audience and our kind of community that's very experienced in these games. We did want to try to modernize a little bit and at least have the option to have that more like first person view, that more cinematic action driving. But it's been hard to get our core audience to enjoy that camera view. Is there anything in your opinion that would make it better, or is there a reason? Was it too fast? Was it too crazy? Is there anything that could be changed that helps it?
Well, I think the one thing that might have helped is like when the different battle speeds, right? So it's like the experience is completely different between like 1 time speed, 2 time speed, and if there's going to be 3, 4, 5, however, I don't know how fast you guys are going to go, but yeah, it's like just making sure that things are. Sometimes it was like some fights. Again, it was it was the alpha, so some fights were a little clunky. The transitions and how things kind of like worked were just a little not super fluid, and it's in the cinematic in the POV, and so it's like that's why I was like just reverted back to the top because it was just like the tried and true. But I think and then from what I've seen from videos and everything else, it looks 1,000 times better than what it did in the alpha. So we'll probably try to play it again on the other whatchamacallits, but yeah, as far as the top, I think the only thing I had an issue with is like the scrolling combat text with the boss damage and everything else. It was like you were like we have to sit there and like we'd record it and then we'd have to stop and go frame by frame. Like, I was, how much damage did we really do to Fafnir here? And it's like, all right, well, this tick is doing 217,000, and so we'd have to, and so it's like maybe improving on that a little bit, so it's like that setting is a little bit more. But then again, it's
That's definitely gonna be a work in progress for this early access, because since the alpha, I would say the thing that's probably been improved the least is the floating combat text. And we all know it's not up to par yet, but it's just like there's been bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
But it is more functional. I do find that I can see the damage numbers more. Part of that I think is the cameras just being set up better now too. So you're seeing the numbers pop up roughly around the center of the screen. But yeah, I mean, there's just issues, and like I think the combat text before was getting hidden by models, and it would pop up inside of a model. So you'd see like parts of numbers kind of clipping through a model as it rises, and then you'd maybe like, oh, I think I did 1 million. I don't know, like it's up there somewhere. I mean, it was a joint attack with a solar flare, so it was probably 1 million.
Yeah, it was up there. You see a 0 peek out on the side of his neck over here, and so it was interesting.
Yeah, there's definitely problems with that. And then like adding in, I think, a drop shadow is a weird thing we need, because it's tough to read it, and it didn't look good just having like 1990s text coming up on everything else that looks so like kind of like fresh and modern. Like, this definitely needs some work. And like I said, I think it still will. We've got some systems in to make it like easier to keep the numbers more centered to the screen, but we're also, I can't even tell if it's actually in. I've seen like the UI. We want to have like a total damage pop up, like in the upper right corner as well. So if you do a bunch of hits, you kind of get the aggregate number there, and it's like it looks almost like like a fighting game where you do like it tells you like your combo. You'd be like 33 hits or whatever. It's almost like that kind of thing where you get the big damage number up there in the right side with the UI. So that should help too. It's not always great. Like you don't always want to see, maybe you just want to see the individual hits you're hitting with or versus it. But I figured like it's stylized and people that want it will have it. But yeah, like the floating combat text, by all means, once you hit this early access, let the criticism flow, because you need to get that one improved pretty quick. And that, like I said, there's been a lot of other things that have just kind of gotten priority, and it's definitely not there yet. So
yeah, the floating text and the damage numbers is definitely gonna get another pass for sure. Dirk, could you alleviate any of his concerns on the like cinematic view? Because I know it's changed a lot, hasn't it, since the alpha? Or what are the tweaks that have happened to that, so that maybe if someone didn't try out before, they could check it out again?
Well, we've repositioned all of the cameras we used. So the way it works, we have like a bunch of kind of preset cameras set up for most characters. We can also just do manual cameras, like all the really fun ones that Jerry put together. He puts all the cameras in there himself, kind of keyframes them, and then can adjust them all, like, and animate the cameras fully. So that gives us like, we have as much control as we'd ever want to have. But the simplified version of it, we just have a bunch of preset cameras, and then just kind of tell it like, use this camera at this time, use this camera now, and cut to this one. We have better blends on the cameras. Before it was only like a linear blend, so everything felt really robotic. That's no longer the case. All of the cameras we have set up now, they're much more like I think I'd say better framed to see what's going on. And we've also kind of set it up now where our cameras are more dynamic between a 4-man and a 5-man party. So if you're running content that allows for both, we have the camera set up, it's set up specifically for a 4 versus 4 team, and you see everything like kind of up close with a lower field of view. But then if you're to run that same stage, let's say it is a 5 versus 5 or something, like you're doing a rift or something, right? Then it will open up the FOV a bit, kind of pull back. So we're not trying to use, it's less of like a one size fits all now. So we have cameras better suited for that. And then I think just the position of themselves help a lot. And then like I said, the transitions, everything feels less like robotic. And then we've got some fades in there now. So there was some times where you get really like, it'd be really jarring of some of the cuts. So that's a lot, I don't know, like softer now. And then like I'd say we add some more movement into the cameras now, like So you mentioned like the top cam. The top cam, we've gone a little bit more, I guess, leaned more into the utilitarian aspect of it, which it sounds like that's what you enjoyed about it. We'll probably end up repositioning again, but it's a very much like you're looking down from pretty high up and you're just there to see the fight. The camera's not moving around. Like you just see the enemy team, your team, kind of frame nice, but yeah, there's nothing fancy about it. We have like the raid 3/4 view. There's a little bit of motion on it. That one's got a lower FOV. You're kind of in the action. And then honestly, now with the I kind of saved the best view, almost like what top might have been before in the POV camera. So sort of like every basic and core ability will sort of return to this, like it kind of is similar to the top camera. There's a little bit of motion in it, kind of feels like almost like you're watching it as a drone. It's like panning back and forth. But I think it almost, we've kind of blended the cinematic POV cam into like what was the top before. So you get like the up close low FOV action, and then it'll sort of pull out into a more like utilitarian, like bigger view of the fight. And that also helps, I think, a lot with the numbers. So sometimes when you jump in there and your guy's real close and you're whacking something, you see the number pop up and almost out of the frame, but then it'll pull back and you'll get the nice view of like, oh, this is how much damage I'm doing to everyone. And you'll see the numbers kind of as they're sort of, finishing their ascent. So I think that's helped a lot at being able to tell just what's going on. So it's just not all like bouncing around.
Yeah. And then Speed, did you have a certain camera input or one that you preferred or anything?
Well, my biggest regret is I missed the alphas. It just fell off my radar. But in terms of being a content creator, I really like to have the option of multiple different cameras so that I can showcase different things. Especially once, when you get a cool new character that has really cool animations, I'm going to want to have that as maybe the background for my thumbnail, or I'm going to be highlighting that in one of my videos. And so I think it's really awesome to have multiple views, and sounds a lot like pound cakes, where if I'm farming something, I just want a very utilitarian view that goes quickly. But if I'm making a video on something, I'm going to want those other camera angles so I can highlight the graphics of the game. Because I think one of the strengths of Godforge, just from what I've seen so far, is the graphics are looking really cool, and be able to highlight and try to bring more users into the game will be really valuable.
Yeah, that's been a massive. I mean, that's the whole reason we have this POV cam right now, is what you're saying is, and what you mentioned before about with content creators, is because it is very like content creator centric in a lot of our design. The whole point of the POV is just like, it's just going to present better if you're streaming the game or you want to show something off in a video. Like maybe you play the game in top, but you want to show something off, you could use POV. So you're going to get those awesome, like, all the cool shots you want to get. And we recently, a little risky, we're planning on, some people get a little bit too used to playing on 2x or 3x. That 1x starts to feel really slow. So they're experimenting with speeding up the 1x. But I felt like, I'm like, wow, this is losing if you want to get these awesome cinematic shots for a YouTube video, like if you're not used to 2x or 3x, 1x, it does look like how you would actually look like if you were, doing these animations. So let's not try to speed this up too much here. But yeah, but do know that the speed of everything, everyone just wants to go faster and faster and faster. So we're trying to find other ways to bring that in the game without ruining like just the base. Like, hey, if you want to put together a quick little, compilation of videos to make it, a YouTube video from, like, everything will look good on 1x now.
Yeah.
And I do like the idea of seeing the damage totals and being able to have the 1x speed, so that, because one of the types of videos I often make is kind of like a damage test video when you're trying out different gears and different relics and all those other things. And it's nice to be able to, without having to do a ton of editing work in the background, to see those numbers so that I can highlight that in a video and it doesn't take me 5 minutes to edit that part.
Definitely. Did either one of you have a certain topic that wasn't something I mentioned, or anything that you wanted to make sure that we discussed today, or you can ask me or Dirk or anything like that?
Oh, for sure. So as far as like outside of the cinematic and the the overall pacing of the first time user experience, what do you think is the correct progression gating for, like, say, that first hour, right? So it's like, what's y'all's approach to that first time user experience that expands out to like that first hour of gameplay?
But it very much at the moment wants you to do campaign and get basically as far as you can until you're supposed to kind of get stuck and move on to other things. So that first hour, we expect that you would be going through campaign and probably hit that like stuck point, and that's about where you should have already hit level 10 and then had other things open up to you. So yeah, we don't want you to have to make a lot of choices early on in terms of like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, oh yeah, it's probably campaign. It's like seems to have me going here. And then you start going campaign, cool. Oh, I'm dose crushing. All right. Well, what can I do now? Well, these ascension dungeons have opened up. So let's maybe try going through and fight a boss and then see if I can ascend my guys, and maybe that'll unstuck me. And then, oh cool, it did. So yeah, it's like that. I'd say campaign into ascension dungeon, back into campaign into gear dungeon, and then from there I think like clans open up, or pantheons open up, and then the arena, like async arena opening up around that time too. So yeah, the idea is you go through campaign, get stuck, get a little bit, get stuck, get a little bit more, get stuck, and then everything should be how it goes.
Awesome. But any like any hard walls, or is it kind of like that soft friction approach where it's kind of like you reward the gameplay loop, you win?
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
no,
as I
it's
slowly,
all soft. Like if you
yeah.
like
No
you'll get
120.
stuck if you're going in there free to play. It's all dual. Like we're giving you, all the starters are pretty strong, and then we've curated some of the heroes you're gonna get on the way, kind of like how Ray does it with like War Maiden and stuff. So you'll get a couple good ones that, well, it makes everything possible and not like it won't be painful.
Yep.
But if if you're going into this like, all right, what are these like crappy rares I got to use early on here, and you're you're wailing out a bit, and you're going in with some better characters, your stuck point won't happen until probably a little bit later. But yeah, still a lot of it is like stats and whatnot, just kind of going up beyond what any character will handle. So you'll still get stuck. It'd be a few stages down the line further, but then you will have to make your way into the dungeons and stuff too. Just getting I mean there's probably a couple legendaries. I'd imagine getting like an early Sphinx is always going to be good. Like it
I mean,
There's lots that would be that would be
yeah.
insane.
Yeah, I think that's the benefit of the mini game, right? So it's like to be able to start with that
No Sphinx in the mini game though.
yeah, that would be great. I mean, we do get hell as an Eternal, so that's not too bad. But yeah, I mean, well, speaking of that, is like how what are your guys' thoughts on players that are starting with the mini game rewards versus those that say missed out? Because I mean, there's going to be a contingent of players that will miss out on the mini game. So it's like, how are you guys approaching that aspect from all of us who are kind of diehard, Godforge, mini game, grinders versus my kid that may start later that is like, well, I have my starter, and then it's like, this is
well,
let's go
I
at it.
forced myself to go that route. I want to play
Yeah.
I didn't do the mini game route, so I'm not.
Hey, you got it
I'm not
right
going
here
in
with
there
me
like-
and Dirk. You got me that's going
Yeah,
hard in the
there we
mini
go.
game, and you got Dirk that's just
Yeah,
diving in day one.
I'd probably go Quetzalcoatl if I go a mini game route. I mean, everyone's got their favorites. I think there's so many good choices. I don't think there's in that batch. There's not really any like wrong choices. There's definitely some that be better, but yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna feel all the testing, the limited testing we've been able to do on it so far. I mean, you get a starter, and let's say you just happen to there's a decent amount of like rare pulls you'll get now, so you'll have a few other rares to play with. If you get like a second starter in that, you're usually feeling pretty good, as long as strength affinity is isn't getting like hard countered. 2 starters is plenty to crush everything. But yeah, I don't think you, like I said, I don't think you need anything too good. We buffed up some of the rares now. There's a lot of rares you guys didn't see coming through. That'd be pretty good. So I was just setting up Cyclops yesterday, man. This guy is a monster. Cyclops,
Yeah.
I think, will be like our bellower. So you hit one of those early on, like you're gonna be feeling pretty darn good and just stomping through everything.
Yeah.
So
I love what you guys are talking about. That's since I missed out on the alpha, I decided I would go back. And so I played Raid like 5 years ago, and I quit playing because it was just too money centric. And so then I decided, hey, I'm going to play Raid again, just brand new. Let's see what it's like. What is the new user experience like in Raid now? I got to say, I didn't like it very much. And it's like day 2, and I ran out of energy. And I was like,
ouch.
what? I can't. Like, I couldn't do anything in Curse City. I couldn't do anything. Grimforce wasn't out yet, but and so I'm curious what you guys have, because I absolutely love, like, getting stuck because you don't have the stats. You need to think of the right team composition. Like, you got to think about it to get further in the game. I love that. But when you're sitting there and you have no energy, no gems, no silver's still super limited in Raid. Like, what have you guys thought about in terms of the economy at the very beginning of the game, so that players aren't left going like, well, I love this game, but I've got to wait 3 hours before I could do another one run in the campaign?
We're definitely not as restrictive on energy at the moment. I mean, we still, in testing, I think we're going very generous on energy right now, so we could test. I think ideally, like, the design goal originally was like, you don't really feel energy starved for like at least like the first week. Like, we want to be able to play. We want to have stuff in that you can do even without energy. Is a big part. That's why we have like the sort of like roguelite mode that's been in development. Because I always hate when I don't mind energy systems, but I hate, like, especially when I'm new in these games, and I'm just having fun, and I'm like, I just want to play the game. Like,
Yep.
I'm genuinely enjoying the time I'm spending on this. It hasn't turned into my job yet. Like, I just want to actually just have fun and kind of do things. And I hate when, like day 2 getting locked out of that. Like, it seems like people move on to other things that they also enjoy that they can actually play. So we definitely don't want you feeling restricted like that until you're about a week in. Assuming like a week of fairly hard play too. And then maybe that's another thing too, like in Raid. I think a new player going into it not expecting anything probably won't be able to burn the energy fast enough. But when a player goes in, like a veteran in these type of games, they know how to like min-max their energy usage, what they're supposed to be running. You're already like, okay, I do this. I need to get my kill to 60 ASAP. So I'm gonna grind the hell out of this and get my levels up. And I think once you know like what you're doing, you can blow through your energy a lot quicker. And maybe we still haven't. We don't have that level of like, no one's streamlined it that well yet to really figure it out. But I will say, and we'll be catching a lot of this before early access. Sham's been hard on it. There's like there's the economy side where everything is kind of like theoretical, like it's like scientific, broke down in the spreadsheets of like, this is exactly how much energy to every resource you could get, ratio, and like mathematical breakdown. And then there's the play through it and am I having fun feel, and like that we're trying to make sure that the playthrough am I having feel is trumping just the data at the moment, because ultimately, like, when you're playing there as a player, you're not going like, well, by the numbers, this is perfect. Like, I guess I'm having fun. Like, you want you to be like, this game is so sweet. Like, it should feel fun. So yeah. If you feel like I can't play the game, like that's definitely the opposite direction of where we're trying to go early on for people.
Yeah.
Like, and running out of energy should be something that, I mean, ultimately, because you're spending your gems on energy, or are you spending your gems on summons? And we want that to be summons early on. It's just more fun to it's more fun to be able to spend your gems and get something more than just being allowed to play more.
And to give Raid credit, one thing that they do really well in the early games is they give you a ton of classic arena tokens. So you can do classic arena all you want. To me, that's exciting because especially since it had been 5 years, I completely forgot about most of the characters. So just to go into arena and see what I was up against, ooh, I really want to get that character. I really want to get that character. So they at least give you that. So there's at least some segment of the game that you can still keep doing.
Well, and I got to rein Dirk in a little bit here. I can't guarantee you're gonna be able to play a week straight and never run out of energy.
No, we're gonna push for it. That's really pushing.
But yeah, no,
yeah.
we do want you to be able to play the game a lot when you're a new player and get into systems. And we've got a whole economy team that has models and stuff, and they're making sure. And then, like Dirk said, yeah, we do want to do like a fun pass as a full team where we kind of start playing these things.
Sham's been on that hard with the like economy for now, because he's really big on like oh, I want to upgrade my armor. Do I have the resources for it? No. Why not? Like why am I being gated on upgrading my armor to a level 4 right now? Like is that so important that I'm not allowed to upgrade this? No, then let's let them upgrade it. So because we've added in a new resource, I think, since the alpha, Rivenite for upgrading your gear. So it's gonna use with your general like silver resource, but then also you'll be able to get Rivenite as you're going. Like, it's farmable in a dungeon, but also like there's all these little like care packages you get now as your account ranks up, that if you feel like, hey, I need more Rivenite, like you'll probably get a Rivenite option to choose from. Typically I just go for summons at the moment, but I mean, like I said, I've been playing it as someone who's not starting the game off with a legendary.
Yeah.
In which case I would personally be going just for summons. Give me all the summons I can get, see if I can hit a jackpot early on.
One of the things I absolutely love about games like this is finding those uncommon and rares that can be really useful. And I'm really excited to learn about all their skill sets and doing videos. I'm like, hey, this is an amazing rare. You guys really need to use this. And so I'm excited to look forward to that. One question I had for you guys, I have a list of questions over here, but in terms of the mission, so I'm assuming I've seen buttons where you have missions or tasks or something to help guide you a little bit. Wondering what you guys have put into thought in terms of those. And one of the reasons I'm asking is that on day 2 in raid, one of the reasons I ran out of energy was there was one quest where you had to get like a 3-star attack % piece of gear from a certain dungeon, and I spent over 500 energy trying to get that one piece of gear, and then they kind of wasted most of the rest of the day for me. I'm curious what you guys were thinking in terms of quests and tasks and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that's specific right now. Yeah. As far as like where it's like RNG on whether or not you complete the quest, we don't have anything like that. Is that that like the results on that would vary so wildly. If it's like you're hoping for like 1 out of 6 on just that gear type, and then you're hoping to high roll and hit the 3-star because it probably drops, 1, 2, and 3, and then it's that's
it was killing me.
That's a miserable experience because you could either do it in like 50 energy or 500, like you don't know. And like being able to, I'm surprised they actually have that, because from like a new user experience, we want it to be like not so variable in the experience from one player to another. And just the summons you would get in your rares, which is why a couple early on are somewhat curated. But just even like the summons that aren't curated, that already adds in massive variance into your experience as a new time user. Because let's say you do hit like a really good epic that can carry you through versus someone who's just getting just a useless. I was like, there's some rares are definitely better than others. Some are like insanely good, and others I think haven't found their place yet. But yeah, like depending on which one you get, like you might just start crushing content or just feel like, well, this guy is useless. I'm gonna stick with my uncommon here. Yeah, so I think that's enough variance. I don't think we have any quests like that yet, or even any plan that are gonna be like, hope you get this reward if you want to progress.
Well, and Dirk's cooking with gas today. I don't know if we've officially even talked about Rivenite yet, but
I was gonna say, I can see Adam in the background somewhere just fist pumping because we got the But yeah,
Well, they put a post out today on the Fateless Games Facebook, letting people speculate what Rivenite is.
good.
So by the time this podcast comes out,
Yeah, that's all.
so by the time this podcast comes out, maybe it'll be a thing, but who knows if we have to
That's
edit that out or not.
bad. It is
But
what it is.
yeah, no, it's all good. I was gonna ask something and I forgot. I know we're kind of getting close to the ending time here, but did any of you have like a quick burning question? I'd hate to not get to you if you had something you really wanted to get
Yeah,
out there.
I think the last one, I think my community would probably, drag me in the street if I didn't ask with all the stuff that happened last week, talking about, getting summons Dirk and everything. Is like, can you touch on what that first time user experience, like rate of acquisition for shards is going to kind of look like? Because I mean, now with the mortal stone change, right? We're already going to have rerollers, doing whatever they can to try to reroll their mortal stones to get a legendary. So, what does that potentially look like? As we head into Godforge early access.
Yeah, that's kind of a decision that was just made a few days ago. We're trying to, as you guys know, things are going to be changing and they're going to be fluid. When we're leading up to early access, that's why we have things like alpha and early access. So, yeah, I mean, there's lots of different things we could do, but we don't want to like sacrifice the fun of the game for the normal player just to like prevent re-rolling.
Yeah.
That's kind of like you're losing the forest for the trees or whatever. And we know people are going to find a way to re-roll it and do stuff like that. I mean, we could do things like you unlock legendaries from the Mortal Aether Stones after a certain account level. It's like a pop-up, like, hey, you just buffed your Mortal Aether Stones. So we have levers we could pull, and I'm not saying we're going to do that, but it's just, there's things that we could do to possibly adjust that. But I don't think we're going to need to it. If people find a way to be that dedicated and re-roll, it's not even a terrible thing.
Yeah.
They're excited about the game and they're playing it a lot and all that good stuff. So we'll have to monitor it though, and possibly. But what was your other question besides the Mortal Aether
Oh
Stone?
no, it was just what the first time user experience, what that rate of acquisition is like. How
The
many?
rate of acquisition. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting like Mortal Aether Stones will probably be pretty close to what you're used to in getting those base summons.
We're pretty generous with it.
We're pretty
now.
generous with it. Yeah.
Surprisingly, Paul is like he's stingy on some things, but when it comes to summons, he's just like we're like on par with a lot of their games. He's like, no. I feel like you need to have like 10 times more. So he wants like summon galore. So if you feel like, man, these guys are pretty generous, you guys can thank Seth for that one. He's been fighting to give more and more and more summons, and you get a lot now. Like I said, you get these little like pop-up rewards like every account level gain, and I think every 5 levels, or at least every 10. I think it's every 5 though. You get like a better selection, and among that is always an offer of Aether Stones, and if you take it, it's worth 5 more. What 5 of the ancestrals each time. So you look forward to every 5 account levels up, you get some polls. So like you hit like account level 10 right there. If you would have saved, you have a 10 poll, and that shouldn't take you more than, like you said, within your first hour of play. Plus I think there's a pretty hefty amount. I've noticed just like in my initial like rush to get account level 10, I typically have hit an epic by then, just in the amount of ancestrals I pulled, and like given the rate of hitting an epic, usually you'd have enough. One of the times I went through, I was so pumped. I had like Jerry and Frecky. I'm like, oh man, this could be pretty sweet if I just hit an Odin now.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm sitting. If I just hit this Eternal Legendary, I'm set. But I mean, you get fun stuff right at the gate now. So each person's experience will be different, obviously, in terms of luck, but you get enough polls early on that everyone will have something fun to play with by the time you're going into more than just the campaign.
That's awesome.
It's a hard thing to get right because we want to give lots of summons, obviously, but we also don't want people to get bored in a month. We've all seen those games that come out and everybody's running the same team and they have the same heroes within 2 months, and then what happens? Everybody gets bored and they quit. So it's a tough balance to get, and we don't want to be stingy, but we also don't want to like shower people and then have everybody
And
get
it's
bored.
exciting because we get all these heroes and we're like, we want to play with them and see everyone play with them. But obviously, if you get everything, some of the fun of it is a hero collector. And when you no longer have anything to collect, a big, big reason to play kind of disappears. But I think a big part of it too is a lot of games is launched with such a shallow pool.
Yeah.
That your viable options for teams are very slim. Like there's usually just like one team you run for each various thing, and then there might be like one or two subs you do if you happen to not have that specific character. But there's just so few characters that everyone sort of just gets the same stuff. So we've dodged that by a very ambitious, like, over 200 heroes. So right off the bat, everyone should have different teams that they're kind of working with, and then as you'd spend, it's just a pretty big pool, and then there's not as much like you don't just get all the legendaries for free or anything like that either. Like some games are very generous, not even to let. It's almost like there's like this power creep. Like I don't want to call it power creep, but like it's like you used to expect that your starting character was like a rare, but now all of a sudden like starting characters are like legendaries, and I feel like they do it like so you as a player are like, oh sweet, I got a legendary. But what it actually means is like, oh sweet, I get to start burning my legendary books and all my expensive resources on my damn starter. Like this, it ends up becoming like not new player friendly by dumping you with legendaries early on like that. Especially when these legendaries are essentially just rares in disguise. So we don't have any of that. There's no like good. Don't forget, oh, he's a legendary. You got to use him, right? Look at that. It's so generous. And you're just burning all these great resources, and you get like a real legendary and you got nothing. You're like, oh, crap. I thought that starter legendary they gave me was going to be good. Well, I guess not. So, no. You get the rare, you get the nice cheap resources to use on them. And then when you get a legendary, they're all looking pretty good now. That's another thing, too, is I feel like the power levels in legendaries, in specific legendaries, has gone up a bit. I don't want to say like they're just so much better than all the other ones, because like ideally everyone has to have a place where you use them and they'd feel fun. But a lot of legendaries can just do stuff now that other characters maybe can't do, especially the Eternals. Like there are a lot more like rule breaking mechanics that a lot of the Eternals have now. That'll be fun to build teams around. But yeah, like there's at the very least, like you'll still be able to like blast through with your starting rares and not feel like you're choked for resource or anything.
Yeah, and Speed,
Well, I think
did you have
great.
Go ahead.
I just think it's great what you guys did with Godforge quests, because within a few minutes of doing the quest, I was like, oh, I don't have to reroll. I think it's fabulous that I get to choose the starter that I want. I get a legendary from amongst the top 10 that I really want. I am not wasting a single second on rerolling. I think that's great, because there's so many other games where they don't give you much at the beginning, and so the urge to reroll is tempting, and not for this.
Yeah, nice.
Jackpot, yeah.
And did you have any final?
See
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dirk.
I was gonna say I couldn't see wanting to reroll, because like I don't think you're gonna really hit like in that initial burst. Like you're probably, like I said, you'll probably get like an epic. Who you get almost doesn't really matter, because the starters are so good that I don't think that there's no like you're not like screwed if you pick the wrong one. Like if you're like, oh man, with Ramses is great. So there's no wrong choice early on where you feel like, I'm better off just starting over. And like you get a decent amount of pulls to start getting like some other rares and even epics early on, but there's no like, oh, you're guaranteed a random legendary on your 50th pull or something. So and we give you exactly 50 if you go through this many things. So spend 2 hours, reroll. Spend 2 hours, reroll. Like I'm not so many of the anime gotchas are like that now. Like you're like the day one launches come out and every content creator puts together their reroll guide, and it's like, what's this fun for? It's like, oh cool, I get to spend the first 3 days of this game re-rolling until I get the correct start.
Yeah,
so, that will not be a thing of this.
Yeah. And Speed, did you have a final question that we didn't get to, or anything real quick that you had?
No, I think you answered all my big questions. I've noticed in the podcast you ask quite often, who do you want added to the game?
Hey, you're not supposed to know this. You're not supposed to. I'm gonna have to start throwing curveballs here. You're not supposed to.
Oh, okay.
You're not supposed to know the pitch that's coming.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. That's really cool that you watched the episodes. We appreciate that. So yeah. Do you have any heroes that are like your favorite?
So one of the things I really like doing in these hero collector games is try to get like all of the units that are kind of similar. And so I noticed you have Tianlong and Shenlong, the two Chinese dragons. It's really cool, and I think it would be like really cool to have more dragons added over time, so I can try to collect all of those, because I really like the Chinese dragon. That's probably going to actually be my first lore video, will be about the Chinese dragons, and so it would be cool to see more of those added over time.
Oh yeah, you'll definitely do the Dragon Squad. There's more than 2 of those planned. They're actually in the works. Those are like the last ones, because they were a pain to get rigged and animated, and we're still getting animations in even at the final hour here, so I can just finish them up.
Yeah,
they're looking cool, but they've been tough to implement. But yeah, you'll definitely get like between those.
I'm sure they're a nightmare to animate, but God, they look cool.
Oh yeah, like between like Tianlong, Shenlong, Ryujin. So that was one of the big like identities. We're trying to come up with the identities of each faction. And for Tian, that was one of the things. Originally, they're going to be called, what was the Jade Empire? But we wanted him to have like almost a dragon-centric focus. Where we originally were planning a dragon at like the uncommon level. And then once we started like doing these things, we're like, these are just way too expensive to create to just dump in as an uncommon. So I think the lowest is like an epic now. Do we have a rare still planned? Maybe we'll see. They've been bumped up in that. Just like again, these a lot of these are very expensive to produce. So the ones that have turned out to be way more expensive than we initially thought, you've had to bump up in rarity a bit just to make it kind of like if anything, like when you get a character that looks super sweet, there's nothing worse than like, especially as a late game player, you don't really, at least the way I look at it is I don't want to use my rares anymore that often. Like, you use them in some teams, but you're like, I'm like a high roller now. I've been playing this game. They've sucked out like way more money than I would be willing to tell my wife I spent on it. And I want to use my shiny toys. And if you have like these awesome, like badass characters that are like a rare, even if they're super good, they're better than any legendary, but they're a rare, you still feel like, man, what am I doing using these rares? So we've bumped up a few in rarity just for that alone. So you don't feel like you're slumming it now when you're using some of the really cool ones. Because it was like a fine line to walk between. Like we want there to be like really generous and awesome rares to use, but at the same time, like we don't want someone to feel like, well, geez, I've got all these legendaries and I'm still just using friggin' rares here. Like it. So yeah, but you'll definitely get your Dragon Force, like because we have like I guess if you were the alpha, you probably saw YDG Edreg Goch before, like the red dragon. So we
he was in the alpha
dragon. Yep. We've got a couple more of those planned, like potentially with multiple heads.
Yeah, I better end this before Dirk goes off.
Give away the keys of the kingdom, right?
Go ahead.
We have like a Tiamat planned. I was super looking forward to, but it was like at the time trying to get a multi-headed dragon rigged was going to take longer than expected, so it's kind of been on the back burner. We have like the serpentine, like Chinese style dragons in there. I mean, Quetzalcoatl kind of. He's like a serpent also, but different. But yeah, we have enough of these like big dragon type creatures of various types of dragons that you'll be able to put together a pretty fun squad that's going to look crazy on the screen, because you've tested a few of these. That's another thing too, is like, how do you arrange 5 dragons together? Because the game looks really good when you have 5 like humans standing next to each other, but like what happens when it's 5 dragons? They're flapping wings. And if you've ever seen Quetzalcoatl get disabled, you'll see boy, does that guy get wild.
Yeah.
Like a car dealership, like thing.
Oh wow.
You get like five find creatures like that out
Mm.
there that are all like confused or something. And next thing you know, like you've got a little dance party happening with dragons. So that's been you'll careful what you wish for, I guess, on that one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think you will have fun with that. If you're looking to get a team of dragons, you can do it. If you're looking to get a team of I think the dog pack, this is one I've been excited for too. We've got various like wolves that work together. We've got Anubis. Of course, he gets a little bonus with Hound of Dua and the Jackal. So there'd be various like fun teams like that to put together as well. Like that's always something that we think about too, is like it's be funny. Like the team doesn't have to be good, but at least if you just want to like kind of meme it out and like just try it, there'll be some fun teams that like aesthetics like matter more than the actual functionality. Well, it's kind of taken into account. Like, what if they want to use all dogs? Is there going to be some kind of bonus for that? So, yeah, there'll be something hopefully for everyone there.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, hey, no, this has been fun. I know we're over time, but hopefully we didn't go too long for you guys and keep you too long. We appreciate Speed and Pone Cakes taking the time to join us, and Dirk. It's always good to see you again and chat here on the channel. So yeah, we will have the links down below to check out their stuff, and then we'll also have the links for Discord if you want to pop in and talk about early access and give your thoughts on different things we've talked about or seen in alpha and all that good stuff. So yeah, cheers guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me. Love
Later,
this.
guys.
Yeah, for
Appreciate
sure.
Good night.
Yeah, we'll see you soon in the
Jim?
next Fateless podcast episode. Cheers.